Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. So you want to learn how to surf? Let's go. First things first, equipment. Now, when you're choosing a board to learn on, it's always better to start with a long board or foam board that's 8 feet or longer. The board I'll be using today is a 9-2, which means it's 9 feet 2 inches long longboard. Let's go over parts of the board since I'll be referring to them throughout the lesson, and there are terms that are important to know. The top of the board is called the nose. The sides are called the rails. And the bottom of the board is called the tail. Whenever you start paddling to catch a wave, you always want to start with your toes to the tail, but I'll go over that later with the pop-up. This here's the leash, which is attached to the tail, and you'll also attach the other end to your back leg, either ankle or calf, depending on which leash you have. And underneath the tail is the fin or fins. This particular board has one single fin. It's typical for longboards to have a line going down the middle. This is called the stringer. Some boards have 1, some have 3, some even have 5. This is a great tool for beginners to use to ensure that you're centered on the board for balance. And if you're using a surfboard to practice your pop-up, make sure to protect the fin so you don't damage your equipment. You can do this by simply digging a hole for the fin to settle in while you're practicing your pop-up. Otherwise, you can just draw an outline of a surfboard in the sand or somewhere on the ground and use that to practice as well. It's just as effective. All right, let's get into the pop-up. Okay, so you always want to start with your feet together, toes all the way to the tail, and body centered. Don't even bother paddling for a wave unless you've hit these 3 things. When the wave is about 5 feet behind you, start paddling, 1 arm at a time, deep strokes. Once you feel the wave catch you, place your hands at the bottom of your rib cage on the board and arch your back with elbows straight. Then use your abs and toes on the tail to push off and bring both feet to the board. The goal here is to land your front foot in between your hands. Let's see that from another angle. All right, my feet are together, toes are to the tail, and my body's centered. The wave's about 5 feet away, so I start paddling. The wave has caught me and I'm planing, so I place my hands at the bottom of my rib cage, arch my back, elbows straight, and then I use my abs and toes on the tail to push off and bring my feet to the board, getting that front foot in between where my hands were. My knees are slightly bent, the stringer's cutting my feet in half, my shoulders are over my hips, which are over my ankles, my arms are out for balance, and I'm looking straight ahead. Now, wave choice is super important, and it could be the difference between a 2-second wave and one that you ride all the way into shore. You always want to go for a long, clean line of whitewash, smooth in front and smooth in back, as you can see with this whitewash wave that's just broken. You'll see that there's another wave breaking in the back, which would also be a great wave to choose. Again, you can see that it's smooth in front. Once it breaks, we have a long, clean line of whitewash, and it's smooth in back. And after you feel that joy of riding your first wave, make sure you jump or step off the board, never dive off. Also, when you fall and are submerged in water, always make sure to cover your head when you come up because you don't want to get nailed by your board or fin if it goes airborne. And whatever you do, always remember to shuffle your feet when walking out with your board. Stingrays are prevalent at many popular surf spots, so don't let a sting ruin your stoke. And last but not least, whether you're entering the ocean, walking your board back out after catching a wave, or paddling to catch a wave, always keep your board perpendicular to the wave. This is especially helpful when you're heading out to the lineup. A tip to get past the breaking waves on your way out is to walk next to your board and lightly push on the tail when the wave gets to you, maneuvering the board up and over the breaking wave. Now, if you don't keep your board perpendicular when paddling for a wave, you most likely won't catch it and you'll get rolled. And if you ignore this rule when walking out to the lineup, a wave could take that board and take you out behind it, and you could risk hurting yourself or others around you. All right, there's are the basics of how to surf. If any of you are having problems with the pop-up or catching waves, comment down below, tell me what's happening, and I'll do my best to assist you with correcting the problem.
Hi, good.
I think I got so much sooner.
Oh, I'm not a lifeguard. Sorry.
Huh?
No, I'm just filming something.